So where does your love for, I suppose, entrepreneurship and business stem from? Because obviously you and Andrew both run this empire together, this incredible empire.
Yes.
Andrew stated on the podcast we just done now that is pretty much over $1 billion valuation at the moment.
Yes, absolutely.
So where does it start for you?
My first ever business I started when I was 5 years old. So this is a story that I had largely forgotten until I started making some money when I was 24, 25. And my mother reminded me of this chapter in my life. I was 5 years old, obviously completely broke. I come from a low-income family. And I was gifted by my father's sister for my 5th birthday a small bubblegum machine, little plastic toy. You put bubble gums in the top, you put the American 1-penny piece in it, you turn it and the bubble gum comes
You talk about like the snowball shaped ones?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it was a little plastic toy, very, very cheap. Probably cost my aunt no more than $1 or $2 at the time. And I realized very quickly that because the machine was not obviously very well made or properly engineered, the American 1-cent coin and the American 10-cent coin of roughly the same size pushed the mechanism down and made the gumball machine work. So I would walk around outside. I lived in this broke neighborhood, a bunch of really tiny houses and apartments cramped together. And all the local kids would come out and play. And I used to say to them, listen, look, if you want some bubblegum like me, this is the best bubblegum ever. Just go and get your mother's 10-cent coins from their purse, and then you can have the bubblegum. That's how the machine works.
This is America at the time, right?
This was America. So even at that age, a lot of the other kids didn't understand how much money was worth. They didn't understand the difference between the coins, and they were giving me these 10-cent coins. I used to stack them up and pile them up. And it was during this time I learned my first ever lesson in sales, because a kid came to me. Justin was his name. He had a twin brother. Shout out to Justin and Jeremy from Goshen, Indiana, if you are anywhere in this world. And he came up to me with a stack of 25-cent pieces. It must have been about $4 or $5 in money. And he said, my mother doesn't have the coin you're looking for. She only has these.
Give me one of
So
that.
I kept a completely straight face. I said, listen, don't tell the other kids because you've got the wrong coin. But if you give me those, I'll open up the top and I'll give you 10 bubble gums. And he was like, oh, okay. And I got like $4 or $5 from him. And I think that's where my love of business and my love of money certainly started, because I used to stack up my little piles of coins and look at them. Every time I got bored, at least once a day, I'd stack them up, count them, and admire my little piles of coins like I was Scrooge McDuck on a brokey version. And my mother used to say to me, hey, Tristan, you've got like $25, $30 there. If you give me the coins, I'll give you the paper notes. I was like, no. Don't want the paper notes. I liked stacking up my coins. I liked looking at them.
It looks better as a kid.
It looked much, much better. And that was my first successful business I ever ran. That moved into...
Just a quick one on that. At 5 years old, did you understand that these coins that you were having, did you understand there was obviously money? Did you understand the value of it?
Yes, I understood. And I also knew that I could buy a bag this big of new bubble gums to refill the machine for just $1 at the dollar store. So that's 10 of those coins. So I had my profit and loss all worked out. I was ready. I was prepared. I knew the value of all these coins. A lot of the other kids didn't. And I don't know why I did it. I don't know why I was walking around the neighborhood with the bubblegum machine trying to hustle money out of the other kids. I do not know, because that wasn't very, let's say, ethical, I guess, because the other kids didn't know the value of money. But I was 5. What did I know? What did I care? You know, I was making a bunch of money. I think I bought myself a new bike from just that one bubblegum toy. So, you know, it was a very poor tool, so to speak, to start a business with. But at my age, it worked very well. And I guess
make do with what you got.
Yeah, and that was my first successful business. I guess I could continue until my second ever successful enterprise. I must have been 12 years old. I was living in the United Kingdom at the time, and I was in high school. And this is illegal, by the way, so I'm confessing to a crime. The only crime I've ever really committed. This is the only crime I'm guilty of. And when I was 12, 13 years old, obviously everyone was buying CDs, music CDs. So I had internet access at home. I told my mother to sign up for internet access. So me and a few other kids had internet access at our home computer. And I used to go into the town center with a pen and paper, write down all the songs on the various CDs, and I'd take orders at school. So I'd sell the CDs for £2.50 or £5. And, you know, it went from that to copying video games. I mean, Age of Empires 2 was a very popular one. I mean, I'm 35 now, so we're talking a very long time ago. Rome Total War, when I was about 15, was a popular one. I used to sell these CDs at school. Until one day, I was snitched on by a kid named Wackass, was his name, from Luton. So Wackass, if you're watching, you're a snitch. I hope you've got nowhere in life.
Had to be a Pakistani guy, didn't it?
No, it was a Pakistani guy.
No,
exactly. Well, you could tell from the name. So anyway, whack-ass snitched on me. And my teachers found all these music CDs in school, and obviously you're not allowed to be selling things in school. And I was a very good student. I was the straight A student. All the teachers liked me. So they called my mother to the school. She didn't have a car, so she walked all the way to school for this meeting with my head of year. And we sat down, and she was like, Tristan's been selling these CDs. This is actually, he shouldn't be doing this. It's illegal to be copying these music CDs and selling them at school. And as I was walking home, my mother looked at me and said, look, Tristan, you're going to have to stop now because your teachers have caught you. But I had no idea you were doing this. And to be honest, it's quite smart. That's where you got the money for the bike. That's where you got the money for the backpack and the clothes and the shoes. I was like, yeah, I'm just selling music CDs. So I guess that was my second ever successful enterprise. But thanks to I learned that lesson very early on. Don't, I guess, let untrustworthy people into your circle. Whack-ass saw how much money I was making, straight snitched on me.
I was going to say, why do you think he snitched on you? Because he realized how much money you're making.
I think that's why. I think it's because he realized how much money I was making.
It wasn't a case of like you had sold him a game, a copy one, and then it suddenly stopped working.
No, all the games worked perfectly fine. I'd even get those weird codes you had to enter to stop copywriting. Yeah, you go on the Pirate Bay and find those little codes, and you'd sell those with the CD. You write them on the front of the CD. Properly. Yeah, it was all good. It was all good. But whack-ass snitched on me, and that was, I confess, an illegal enterprise. Yeah. So hopefully, I don't get sued by the company in business or out of business that makes Age of Empires 2. But I probably sold maybe 10 illegal copies of it. But that was my first and only criminal enterprise. And I guess my second successful business enterprise.
You see, right now, as it stands, you have this aura about you that makes you stand out. From the way that you dress, the way you articulate yourself, the way you are. Was it like that back then as well? So when you had acquired this money at 12 years old, 5 years old, and your teenage years, was you always looking for ways where you could stand out amongst the crowd?
You know what? No, I didn't. Ever. I think it's a natural product. How old are you? You're younger than me.
27.
Yeah, you're younger than me. It's quite a lot younger than me. It's a natural progression if you follow the tenets that me and Andrew live by. Now we preach them, but before we preached them, we lived by them, of constant self-improvement. It gets to the point where you have companies that, as Andrew probably said, are upwards of $1 billion in valuation. You're very smart. You've learned a lot. You've read a lot. You know a lot. You could speak very well. Over the course of years, all of my kickboxing training, I became the European kickboxing champion. I'm confident in the fact that I can protect myself and take care of myself. You evolve sort of and grow into the man that I guess you see today. It would be a very different interview when I was your age. I don't think I'd even made my first $1 million at 27. It was around about that time, maybe 6 months after, when I was just turned 28. So the confidence in the aura comes with time only if, and I'll stress this again, only if you do the work. Every single day, or at least 5, 6, 7 days a week, if you're constantly grinding, constantly trying to improve yourself, one day you'll wake up and everyone's like, wow, you're smart and well-spoken and you dress well and you've got a bunch of money, and you're like, well, it didn't happen overnight.
Yeah, it wasn't always like this.
No. The 13-year-old kid selling CDs in school was not necessarily a standout character. I'd only just started kickboxing around that time. I was just a pretty normal-ish kid. I wasn't even that big for my size. I didn't start growing till I was like 17. So I was
massive now.
I was normal height when I was 17. Then I met all my old school friends again when I was like 19, 20, and I towered over everybody. So I don't know. I didn't really stand out in any particular way when I was at school, apart from the fact that I had a slight American accent. That was the only thing that made me stand out.
Those things you learned, what was the skill sets you learned from starting those businesses at a young age? And do you think they stuck with you even till today?
I don't think I learned anything too important, to be honest. The main question I asked myself about those days and those little, let's call them hustles that I ran when I was a little kid, is why did I do it? I don't know why I did it. And the only explanation I can give in parallel to my life today is the same answer to the question, why don't I retire? I could retire, delete my presence from the internet. I have enough money to live for the rest of my life. Why don't I retire? Probably for the same reason I was selling bubble gums. I don't know exactly what the motivation was. I just felt I was good at it and I had to do it.
Why stop this?
Exactly, and why stop this? And now the business that I run isn't hustling people for bubble gums. It's a business that, my main business, the real world, the online school we run, helps countless people. Thousands of interviews I've done and posted them online of young people making insane amounts of money from just, using the program, learning the skills and applying them in the real world, no pun intended. So now I feel like my mission is greater than the business itself. So, no, I don't know what I learned back then. I learned lots of lessons working a bunch of crappy jobs for sure.
Did you work jobs?